Welcome to A Funny Thing Called Business. We are 4 business owners with over 30 years collective experience under our belts, sharing the capers and triumphs of running a small business and how we now avoid perilous customer chaos and pitfalls. My name's Clare Whalley. We also have
Darren Langley.
Kate Curry.
Pete Morgan.
Fabulous. Okay, welcome guys. So today we are talking about being more productive and efficient in your business. And I will start in full disclosure by saying I've been watching Netflix all morning.
What?
Well,
Yep.
Good.
Because yesterday, having had a week off, my laptop has decided to give up. It glitches every 5 seconds.
Oh, no.
So I thought, well, I can't do anything. So I will just sit and watch Netflix. So that's how efficient and productive I am.
But I bet you were watching something really efficient and productive
No,
on
I
Netflix.
wasn't. I was watching Wild Wild Country, which is about a cult in the 1980s in Oregon. Very interesting.
Are you getting ideas?
Well, I'd love to build my own ashram, but that's a side issue. Okay, so let's talk about efficiency and productivity and what it really, what good looks like to you. So what experiences have you got that are most prevalent to you feeling productive or not, as the case may be? Kate.
Oh, no, I knew it. I knew you were going to do that. Oh, I find, I think different people find this. Some people find things like this easier than others. And I think it depends on what kind of personality type you are. I find it really difficult because my brain is constantly whizzing and looking at other ideas. I find it really hard to focus really hard on a task for a long period of time. I get that sort of shiny object thing with something more interesting flies past the window. I'm like, oh, what's that? And I find it really hard to then sort of get back into it. And I know there's all these different tools out there and different sort of ways of working, like chunking, which I find is a interesting way of doing it, where you can sort of chunk various tasks.
The Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, I like chunking.
Yeah, I know you like chunking. I'm not sure. The word chunking just makes me feel like...
Kate.
See, it makes me think of me. Chunking, that's...
Makes me think of big Kit Kats.
Yeah.
Kate, can I ask you a personal question?
Oh, yes.
Have you got ADHD?
I don't know. It sounds like it, doesn't it? But I do find it difficult, and I think because I put it down to probably having quite a creative brain. Mm-hmm. So it bends away from wanting to be really process driven, and I think that really having a good process is the key to being efficient. And sometimes I work well with the process. I'll wake up one morning and go, today I'm going to be process driven, and I'll actually get quite a lot done. But I do find it quite a hard thing to do, to focus on that. Long term, every day. I could never just follow the same timetable and formula every single day. No. I'd find that really uncomfortable to be to be in that. So
I think that's partly why we're self-employed business owners, because we can't follow other people's processes.
We can't follow the structure of
follow our own. Yeah,
maybe.
So, how do you decide to be process driven? Because if you're feeling unproductive and inefficient, how do you go, right, okay, I know that when I'm following a process, this is good.
I think the more you learn about yourself, the better you can sort of adapt your surroundings to fit the way that you work. So I know if I've got some serious maths to do, I cannot be in the studio. I'm really distracted by the people around me, and the radio's on, and there's people to talk to, and there's ideas buzzing around, and I just can't find it really hard to do. So I have to go home and do it. Maths happens at home. Whereas if I know we've got to do things like, we've got a project and we've got to be hyper creative and really think outside the box, then absolutely the studio is the best place to be for that, because we've got the right energy in the space to be successful with that task. So I think I just have to sort of learn what environments I work best in, and just try and make sure that I'm, that I'm in the right place for the task.
Yeah. Okay.
Like no distractions at home, and just focusing on maths is a good place for me. So if you don't see me and I'm at home,
She's doing
that's
maths.
exactly what I'm doing.
So, I mean, I'm in a room now, aren't I, full of creatives. So, Darren, what are your experiences of productivity?
Yeah, I mean, I think productivity isn't as difficult. It is about the efficiency side of it, because you can be really productive and do loads and loads of stuff, but then you realise at the end of the day, all the stuff you did wasn't really a priority, wasn't really the important stuff.
Okay,
you spent too long doing it.
Yeah.
And, so, you can be productive, but without a little bit of the efficiency and the planning, then I think you sometimes focus on the wrong tasks. So what I've always found is that a lot of it's in my head, and it feels a lot better when it's on a piece of paper and written down. And I have my I do have a process, but it's fairly loose. I writing stuff down at the beginning of the week. To-do lists. I've got to-do lists of to-do lists. Must fill out my to-do list, actually. But I'll put that on my to-do list. But the other thing now is that I also, and this comes out of a seminar that we all attended recently, where using the Eisenhower matrix, which I've always been a fan of, where you have the 4 categories. Top left is important and urgent, and then you've got not important and urgent, important and not urgent, and not urgent and not important. Yes, there are 4 things.
Oh, well done.
And then I did take a bit of but
that
running
sounds
through
like a task before you even get to
it is
the
a task,
isn't it?
but it's actually quite a fun task, because
I
when you've
like
got a to-do list, I've got to do all these things, however you want to structure your to-do list, you run it through the Eisenhower matrix, say, is that important and urgent? Is it not important? And then all the stuff that is not important and not urgent, you just bin off. So straight away you can chuck a few things in the bin. The stuff that is important but not urgent, you can then kind of delegate that stuff out. You can also kind of work out what should be on your to-do list in terms of like the important, urgent stuff. That's the stuff you've got to do today. So when you're being productive, at least you're working on the right stuff. And I found that really helps. It kind of shortens the list and prioritises it, really.
I love that process. And to somebody who is kind of new in their business might think, oh God, that sounds like really time consuming or like quite complex. But really, it's a 5-minute task, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Start your day.
Yeah, and it's quite fun.
And it's got the word matrix in it, which
Yes.
is, that's
That's fun
quite
in itself, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's got the word matrix. It's got
exactly.
Eisenhower.
Get me big black leather, long coat on.
Yeah.
Pretend I'm Keanu Reeves. We're away.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah. Running through the matrix.
I wish our listeners could have seen Pete's face then as he was doing. It was perfect. So, Pete, what's your process?
So, obviously, when I started, process was an alien concept. And there's 2 people around this table that were key in changing things. One of them was you, Claire, when you were talking about pretty much what Darren was just talking about there, of getting the process out of my head and down into something. And that came about because I was going to be going away and somebody else was going to look after the business. And there's a slightly different process for each client because of the way they create their podcast and because of the way I'm producing their podcast. So all of that had to be put down, and that is quite a good weight off. And then so I did get it all down on paper, but not in a particularly organised way. And then it's Darren's sponsorship deal with Trello.
Yes.
Has been a real game changer for me. Of really,
I think that's up for renewal now as well.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Trello, if you're listening, we need
to
to get back in touch, get that carrying on. But that really helps create a process on a day-by-day basis of, right, this is how, because I'm like Kate of, there's a nice colour and something interesting's happening, and what's this YouTube video that somebody sent me, and there's a new game out for the PlayStation. So those kind of things, and also thinking about someone should do a podcast about Homes Under the Hammer. We should do a watch along of Homes Under the Hammer and things like that. And it's just bringing them all, kind of putting them in a place of going, right, there's a time and a place to think about those things. Be productive, as productive as you can during the day. Because again, in the early days, I'd get to the end of the day and think, I've worked all day.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were for the wrong, now
Totally.
I know were the wrong quadrant of the matrix.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You've got to get in the right quadrant
Exactly.
of the matrix.
And I speak to so many business owners, whether they're kind of startups a couple of years in or, 10, 15 years in, really established. And really, I have to kind of drag everybody kicking and screaming to put processes in place.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
I think it's worse when you're that far in, though,
so-
because if you're that far into your business journey, you are set in your ways, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you've got a
you
lot
don't
of
realise.
entangling to do.
Yeah.
That's it then.
But and it is that thing of the business exists in your head. So you're like, well, I know how it works. I know
Yeah.
everything that needs to be done.
Yeah.
But it's only when you put it down you realise, God, I can't believe how much of my brain space it was taking up.
All the stuff that you're carrying around.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, 63 of the 64k in my head is
Yeah.
used
Full.
up. It's full.
Exactly.
Only 64k.
64k, yeah. I'm an 80s kind
Yeah.
of guy.
I'm at the point that any new information pushes out something now.
Yeah.
So I'm forgetting, names of our pets and stuff.
I can totally relate to that.
That's why they've got the name badges. It
Oh,
makes
yeah,
sense
yeah,
now.
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So, what do you wish you had done differently at the start of your business with regards to productivity and efficiency? I think mine came to light this morning where, my laptop stopped working for whatever reason. Years ago, I'd have fought through that and I'd have just kept trying to view my laptop on its side, glitching every 5 seconds and trying to work through it.
God.
And I would have driven myself mental.
Yes.
I have done that. So this morning I was like, no, I'm choosing the path of least resistance, watching Netflix. So I think that's the major thing I've learned. Stop fighting. If something's not working or you're not feeling productive for whatever reason that is, step away.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
tomorrow it'll look differently
Yeah.
and you'll go in with a fresh plan. And so that's my kind of learning.
Yeah. No, I think that's that's important, isn't it? To know when to battle through and when to just go. Do you know what? I could be more efficient. Just giving my brain a rest.
Yeah.
And that's being efficient as well, isn't it? Rather than
Very.
burning off all that energy on something that you're never gonna win against a glitching laptop, are you?
No. I mean, one of the things we learned when we were doing the breakfast shows was you always had a plan. So, but it was having that realisation, and I've absolutely brought this over to the business, is it's good to have a plan, it's good to have a to-do list for the day, but you do it on the basis that could all be thrown out of the window by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That could all be thrown out of the window when I was working in radio full-time. 15 minutes into the show, a big news story can happen. Right, everything you've planned for is done now.
Yeah.
So you've got to make a new plan, or you've just got to work around the fact, because you had a plan for today.
Yeah. I had
And-
a lovely plan.
Exactly. You had but you had a plan that didn't involve your laptop throwing a wobbler.
Yeah.
And so I've got better at, listen, this is the plan for today. I'm going to do my best to make it happen. But if it doesn't happen, I can't. I can't be too hard on myself about that, because, like you said, I'm still being as productive and as efficient as I could possibly be, given the space and the time I've got to work in.
Yeah, I guess if you're really focused on your Eisenhower matrix, and then something happens, and if you're really 100% everything's process driven, and then something happens, you could absolutely have a meltdown. Couldn't you?
Yeah. But it's a bit like having an OCD,
because,
isn't it?
Yeah, because if something then comes in that is important and urgent, then you can put it into your important and urgent pile, and at least you've still got your other list of things. So.
And I'm guessing as well with the Eisenhower matrix, that can become, you can have an Eisenhower matrix within an Eisenhower matrix.
Oh, God.
So
well done,
within,
Pete.
I think Darren's with me on this.
No.
I think
I'm liking this.
if you go, so let's say you've got 10 things in the urgent and important, you can subdivide that again and go, right, okay, out of these urgent and importance, which is the most urgent and
This would
important?
take me all morning.
But the really fun thing about that is you could actually go, into the matrix within the matrix and start a new matrix.
Yeah.
And then perhaps within that, another new matrix.
Oh,
No,
what?
you can't say
I
that.
mean,
And then we find out that we're all living in a simulated reality and the robots have taken over.
And then, yeah.
Don't do it, don't go
And then
there.
you turn around and your laptop's broken, so it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Watch TV.
As a business owner or leader, are you looking for some senior level support to help with your strategic thinking and growth plans, or just to bounce ideas off with the benefit of experience? If so, then reach out to Element 45 for a conversation. Founded by experienced regional business leaders Mark Taylor and Paul Faulkner, Element 45 works with a range of clients providing customized services to help businesses grow and navigate the current commercial landscape. To find out more and to contact us, please visit element45.co.uk.
I also wish in the beginning that I had started on a 4-day week. You know, I kind of went to a 4-day week when my daughter was born, so, 14 years ago. But, I'm way more productive now than I ever was before. And I think any parent will say that, won't they, after becoming a parent, that how much more productive you are. Because you just, your time is so focused.
And I think I work a lot better with deadlines as well.
Yeah.
I'm more productive if it's like, right, this has got to be in today.
Yeah.
This has got to be done now. Whereas if it's like, send it sometime over the next... When I was at school, so we all remember this, it's Sunday night. For me, The Muppet Show was on.
Oh, I used to like that.
Thank you. But there's always a theme tune that triggers it. I know for some people, there's a friend who's a little bit younger than me, the theme tune to Bergerac is very triggering for them because it was Sunday night. But if there was, and I don't know why, it was always English that is the subject that it would come to. I knew I had to have an essay in the next morning and I'd not even started it.
Oh, God.
But I would write the essay and get 18, 19, 20 out of 20.
Yeah, I used to hate people like you.
I know. Hey, believe me, if that's the only thing I can take away from school, and that's all that it is.
Were they all Muppet based though?
There was a lot of the Muppet names would come up a lot, or maybe slightly changed. Folsey. Yeah. Folsey, the dog. Just kind of. Yeah. But yeah, it was. And it's that kind of thing again. I work really well with people saying, "Is there any chance I can have this tomorrow?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "Of course you can."
Oh, you've just opened the floodgates now, Pete.
Okay.
When's this podcast going live?
But that's the thing. But if that's what it needed, as it is, we record on a Wednesday. We're going to publish next Tuesday, and it is generally Monday when I make it. And there's been a couple of times when something's happened in life. And it gets to about 4:00, and I think I need to do the funny thing called business.
Stress me
No, I like that.
I'm in Pete's camp.
Yeah.
I feel like that. There's a little bit of fear there that just gets me going. I quite like the idea that I might not make it.
You guys are too weird.
But and again, I think a lot of that comes from radio. I've said one of the big changes moving from kind of working in daily radio shows to running my own business is, you would interview somebody or you'd record something and say, "So when do you need this for?" I don't know, about 15 minutes. Okay, right, okay, best get it edited then.
Yeah.
Or in some cases when you were live on air, I need it by the end of this song. Whereas now, with a lot of clients, you'll kind of say, "Okay, when do you need this for?" August. Okay, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
What it means though is I won't even think about it till July. I'm not. I wasn't the kid. Yeah, I wasn't the kid at school who was like, "Well, if you get the work done sooner, then we can all relax now.
We can all have fun.
Let's have fun now, and I'll panic nearer the time."
Is it also that a bit of a example of how your tasks can expand to fit the time?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or they can expand and
Absolutely.
contract, can't they, to fit the time that you give them?
It's like the school kid, isn't it? That lives next door to the school. They're always the last one in, aren't they?
Yeah. But that's how I am absolutely in Kate's camp of a process is a good thing maybe for a day or so, but if it was the same process day after day, but at the same time I do like that the structure of the, right, this has to be done by this day, this has to be done by this day.
Yeah.
Whether that's put in place by myself or the client.
I like a nice balance of both. I love the structure and to know what I'm doing and to be doing it in a timely way.
Yeah.
But I do also like, you know, things that come up and I've got to deal with it there and then. But I couldn't switch that balance. I need to have more structure and more routine, I think. Which is why it has, you know, knocked me my laptop. Oh, and I'm very jittery about it, wanting to get it sorted. But I'm also, you know, trying to just stay calm. It'll happen.
Yeah, because, well, like, I can't remember who said it. You can't fix that laptop. So all you can do is work on the situation of either getting a new laptop or getting it fixed and work within that time frame, you know. And outside of that, just borrow your husband's.
You have to ride a bike to
Is it?
Get it moving.
One of those.
So I am actually going to buy a laptop this afternoon for my daughter for her GCSEs, and that'll be a backup. So I've got a plan, and that feels good.
And that's good. Yeah, that's productive.
It is. Yeah. It's very productive. I'm going to have a productive afternoon. So what about, how have you guys all handled moving away from like the 9 to 5? Because, you know, we've all been in jobs before. And, you know, there's kind of a misconception, isn't there, in a 9 to 5 when you're working 5 days a week like that you're very productive all the time. Mm-hmm. But of course you're not, are you? No. You're not at all. And I mean, I'm 17 years in now to running a business, and I don't work 9 to 5, but I don't half feel guilty when I'm out and about, when I should be working. Even though I've been really productive. Does anyone else have that feeling?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, not really.
I do. I still get pangs of, oh God,
if there's a task that I know needs doing, but if it's like all the tasks, so I, like you, I try and work a 4-day week. It doesn't always work. It works maybe kind of 60% of the time. That I don't work on a Friday, so that's my, you know,
that's your skipping about day.
Exactly. But if I decide, I'm going to go out, you know, if Joe and I think, let's go out for lunch or something, I do not go and think, I feel so guilty, I should be at my desk and I should be working. Either because I know I've got time to do the task that needs to get done this afternoon, but also it's difficult because I really only did a couple of years of the 9 to 5. You know, the only time that was necessary was the time you were on air. You couldn't just go and do what you like. That was when you had to be in the studio, you had to be in front of a microphone. When the show finished at 9 or 10, depending on which station you were on,
done.
Go for a coffee. You didn't show and go. There was always a meeting to be done. Yeah. But that time afterwards, you'd go for a... You know, I mean, there was a station I worked at. We came off air at 10. We had the meeting at 10:05, and we were completely done by 11:15, and that was it.
Wow.
So for the rest of the day was like, what do I do? Just wandering around, doing a bit of shopping, and I was in a strange city. I didn't know anything. So that was, you know, quite.
I don't think you should feel bad for doing that.
I know.
No, I don't think you should.
I know all this, but I can't help sitting in the cinema thinking, what if somebody sees me in the cinema and achieves the
skipping
afternoon?
School. Yeah. Well, I did. We had Deborah Meaden come and do a talk here this week, and one of the big takeaways, one thing she talked a lot about, there was lots of questions about, you know, being a successful business person, and I think there's a bit of an assumption that to be a successful business person, you have to work long hours and slog yourself silly. You know, you don't have any life outside of it, and that's the path to success. And she was like, it's absolutely not the case. And actually, I think she said she ring fences 3 mornings every week for horse riding, and it's non-negotiable. That's her time, and she goes and does it. And nothing else gets into her diary and overwrites that, because that's her time. And she said, as a result of that, she said she's better at what she's doing elsewhere in her life, in her working life, when she's working with other businesses and things. She's more on it and more energised because she's had that time for herself. So, really wise words. I don't do it, but I really need to.
They are really wise words. And I wrote that down in preparation for today. Wrote down, I firmly believe that in order to earn more, you have to work less. But with the caveat, in order to get to that point, you have to work really hard and put a lot of hours and focus in order to take the time out later down the line. Because Deborah Meaden, she didn't start in her 20s and 30s ring fencing, horse riding 3 mornings a week, was she?
No.
She was right at it.
Yeah, I think in the early days, it's right that you put the
grafting.
work. I think it's a bit of a meme, and so it can become a bit of a cliche, but I think it is in working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
So it is bringing it back to the theme of the episode, Claire. It's like you planned it. It's by being process-driven and efficient as much as you possibly can that will give you that space to,
Yes, Pete.
exactly. Gives you your
Brilliant.
4-day week to go. Are we all going horse riding now? Is that what we're doing?
I'd love to. I'm up for
Horses
anything.
hate me. I don't think I'll be
Do
able to
they?
do that. Yeah. I've been bitten, been kicked,
Oh.
all sorts.
Dear.
They just look at me and they're like, nah, I don't like you.
Llama riding? Could we do that instead
that
then?
sounds
Just
good.
are they all right? You all right with them?
I
They
have no
spit and
experience.
hiss.
Yeah.
They what?
They spit and hiss.
So I was just checking there. That's just making sure.
Okay. So let's talk about challenges. What challenges have you got? I mean, obviously I've got a broken laptop. So I've got to trust in that's going to get fixed pretty sharpish. What challenges have you got around productivity and efficiency?
For me, it's working on the business. It's still doing marketing because it's been a really, really busy couple of weeks. I've been absolutely mad with editing and new launches and, kind of stuff like that. So I don't think I've done a LinkedIn post in 10 days. I know. And because it's been the thing that's gone, right, that's just going to have to. So it's working out a process to make that happen.
Yep. Always be
Yeah,
marketing.
Yeah. So. And I'm still marketing in other ways. Done a couple of networking things and, nice coffee yesterday with someone that is a good contact. But, I've not been posting anything on social media just because I've just been like, I'm trying to get this work done. That's mine, of working that. So that's my challenge.
I just want to go into coaching mode now and I'm stopping myself. So.
But you've got to ask yourself, is it important? Is it
Yes.
urgent?
And that's
Is
the
it
thing,
not
and it
important?
is,
Yeah.
Not
and it
urgent.
should be. And there's stuff I want to talk about. There's stuff, that's happening in podcasting. There's a big thing about branded podcasts being more trustworthy. Apple have done a big thing with kind of their.
Pete, you can be efficient with your marketing though, and it doesn't have to be War and Peace.
No.
Because your posts are lovely, and
Thank you.
I love to sit and read them. But I've got to spare 20 minutes.
I was going to say they are quite long.
But you can just do 2 or 3 little bullet points and just make it easy for yourself. And
I'm like
Kate,
that.
thank you for being my voice.
I could see it in your head in a thought bubble just floating.
I'm like that vicar that says, I don't like writing, but once I start, I can't stop.
Yeah.
And
I think sometimes we just overthink all this stuff to do with socials. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be like really engaging and, magnificent. And really,
No one gives a damn anyway.
No. Well, people are engaging with the simpler stuff, aren't they?
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
picture of your dog and
I put,
stuff,
I was
I mean,
better to say,
it's
I put a
still
picture of the
happening
dog
on
on, and
LinkedIn,
that's the most.
See,
most
whereas I
popular
put
ones.
pictures of the dog on and somebody had a go at me.
Did
For
they?
putting a
For
picture of the
putting
dogs
pictures of
on LinkedIn, going, I'm going to let you off this time. So I remember, I think we've talked
Was
about
this
this
years
before.
ago? Because I think things have changed. On
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
and because I did a video in my car, sat in my car one day, I can't remember what it was about, and posted it on LinkedIn, and somebody said, how cliched. Doing a
I've
photo, and I was
done them
like,
in my car before.
that's where the thought came from. What are you talking about?
Idiots.
Yeah.
Who are these mean people
I
on
know.
LinkedIn? There's no.
Come mess with me, I say. No, don't. Please don't. Darren, what's your biggest challenge?
Probably. One of my biggest challenges that I set myself was at the beginning of this year was to track my time So I
Oh,
can see what I'm
yes.
doing, and then I can justify to myself why I should take, the afternoon off and go to the cinema.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't judge me if you see me.
Yeah, no, not at all. We'll just pretend we don't know each other. But unfortunately, I haven't had the time to track the time, so I haven't actually been doing that very well.
Oh, you need an app.
So, yeah, I've been trying some apps. But there is some AI, which I'm yet to try, that can track your time for you based on what you've got open. So,
Or does it shout at you when it says you're doing things you shouldn't be doing?
I don't know, but if you spend too long on LinkedIn or something, maybe, yeah.
That's version 2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apps are a really good thing that we've not actually discussed, and I think that's one of the things for me is I'm trying to use all these different apps, but I don't use any of them to 100% of what they're capable of, and then that takes time. And I'm like, oh God, I haven't got time to learn all these ones. And I've got Clockify for time management, and Calendly, and Trello, and HubSpot, and all of these various things. And I try all these different ways of trying to be more efficient, only to find that it slows my efficiency down because I've got to learn to use all this stuff. And that's that's quite a big challenge, really, isn't it? How do you bend these tools to your will?
Well, I think apps are like a CRM tool. They never quite do exactly what you want them to do. You have to kind of take the best and just adapt them.
That's why you need to build your own.
Oh, God.
And, there's an app for that.
See, apps to me are the silver linings for productivity and efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think you've talked about the Pomodoro technique before.
Yeah, and Darren mentioned, but there's one that was mentioned. Helen mentioned it at a recent Helen Martin, who's at the Forest.
Yeah.
Which because as a video gamer, that works perfectly for me because that's like a scoring thing of you do. So I don't do. So Pomodoro's 25 and 5, isn't it? I tend to do 45 and 15.
Yeah, well, I do 45. Yeah. So that's what I mean of taking the best of the idea and then adapting it.
Yeah. So Forest is basically...
Oh, so it's called, not Florax?
Yeah, is planting an imaginary
I've tried
tree.
it.
And I quite enjoy it, but there's no...
It's a reverse Tamagotchi, isn't it? It's basically, if you interrupt it, then it dies.
Yes.
Rather than,
but can I check with it? Because I've tried it a few times, but it doesn't do an alarm for me after the time.
No, it doesn't.
And therefore, I go to check my phone, and then I've killed a tree, and I'm like, but I was being really productive. I just think I've gone over.
That's the thing.
I don't. It's no good
it's
for that.
okay, but it's not brilliant.
See, for me, all of these things, I'm like, we've got all these apps, but essentially, I put my phone on for 45 minutes, I turn it over, I don't look at it until the alarm goes off, and I work away. That's it. It really is that simple. That's how I'm productive.
Oh, yeah. And doing stuff like making sure you've got no notifications that pop up on your computer screen or anything like that, and emails and stuff, because that's instant distraction. And like Kate was saying, with certain tasks you've got to be kind of in a locked room on your own with no distractions from anyone else, because
with padded walls.
And then the phone's up because well, that's optional. But but it's just those instant things where someone interrupts you just for like, just a quick question. I know you're working, but just a quick question. Well, that's it then. You've broken your train, and then you come back to look at your screen. It's like, so where was I? And then it takes you time to get back into it. So it's it's trying to be distraction free sometimes, and I think that's what the Pomodoro technique's all about.
Yeah,
not about hats as I
teaching
first
you
thought it
to
was.
be just distraction free. I think lots of business owners come to me and they are stuck as to what to do in order to be productive.
Yeah.
They're like, I wish I was more productive, but I don't know what to do in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
But I just think, there's so many things that you can look at in your business, your website, your Google presence, your social platforms. There's a million things that always need doing in order to be better. And that's what you do with your productivity time, isn't it? You just pick one of those things off the list and right, I'm going to walk through my website like I'm a customer and see what's going on with it. Do you guys have trouble with that kind of thing in terms of, right, I'm going to be productive today, but what am I going to do?
All the time.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Because my list is always like a million things long. Yeah, and with all sorts of different things like work stuff, business
Yeah.
development stuff, marketing stuff, other stuff, just stuff.
So you can look at it blankly going, I
Sometimes,
don't know what to pick.
yeah, sometimes.
She so needs the eyes.
Matrix.
I know.
Put it through the matrix.
But I'm just like, "Ugh, yeah. I'm not
Stop
having it."
resisting the matrix.
You can't
Get
re-
your big
you
left
can't resist
coat
the
on.
matrix.
Learn karate and you'll be fine. That's it. You'll be.
Yeah, but no, I do really struggle with it. But yeah, I think one of the things that I've really found is helpful is certain things I can delegate. And at the
Yes.
beginning of my business journey, I did everything and actually continue to do everything, even when I started to have a team around me. And we did so we had a friend of mine, Neil, who set a business up doing this personality profiling to help us understand each other better and that kind of thing. And it was brilliant. And we did some tasks like he gave us all a different coloured bit of plasticine and he said you have to make a parrot out of it. So we all had to work together to make make a park out of it. And then at the last minute, he said at the end of the 2 minutes, about 5 seconds to go, right, get rid of all of that and turn it into a parrot. And I thought it was brilliant fun. I was like, oh, we could squash that and turn it into a beak, and I really loved it. But like some of the others were like, oh, I really don't like that.
Yeah, I'd have been precious about
because
it.
I like to be really organised and plan and know what's coming up. And like, the outcome of it was, so this is a bit of a long-winded way of getting to it, is that there's certain things that I'm just not efficient at because I just don't. It's not my way of working at my best. I'm much better working in other areas like ideas and planning and looking to the future, and that's where I'm at my happiest and most productive, really, when I'm in that creative zone. And anything that involves really minute detailed planning is something I can actually give to somebody else to help me with, and it blows my mind, the efficiency change in that side of things now, having somebody else help me with it. Because it turns out Shannon's amazing at it and she loves it. And I'm like,
brilliant.
And she even said, you can give more of this stuff to me to do, right? And I was like, I hadn't even really considered that. How mad is that?
One of the boxes on the matrix is delegate. So that would be an ideal one. I could see a lot of your stuff heading in that box.
Definitely.
Into that side of the matrix.
But it's great that you know what works and what doesn't, and you've got a plan in place, haven't you? Process it or delegate it. And you just kind of need to get in that frame of mind, don't you, rather than fighting it. Let's delegate it.
Yeah.
Let's process it. Lovely, guys. Thank you for sharing today. Hopefully, this will have given you lots more ideas for how to get more productive and efficient in your business. Please share, subscribe and review so our fellow business owners can enjoy, be inspired and always keep focused on the fun side of business too.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.